Yeah. What's going on, y'all? You good, fam? Every Monday, Storm from Africa. You good, fam? Virtual check-in with our people. Them. See everyone coming through. Salute. Zakisha Brown went to Ghana. Hey. Big up, big up, big up, big up, big up. Yes, yes, yes. We are coming through. See everyone coming through. Big up to everyone, man. Join us every Monday, man, for you good fam. Virtual community check-in. We got to check in with our peoples, man. Make sure we good, man. Big up to Cropberry coming through.
Hey.
Black Atlantic. Love that name though, man. Black Atlantic, man. I feel like I need some like shirts that say that, man. Just like, yo, you got to get some merch and all that good stuff.
We're already in conversation with some local Moncton Black-owned businesses to really keep it, within the fam. But I'll be honest, Greg Frankson, a Black editor and writer and author here in outside of Toronto, is the one who came up with it when I called him up and said what was going on. So it's not, we owe him all of the credit. So
okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's what's up.
Yeah.
Big up. Cool, man. Well, yo, man, big up to everyone who's joining us, man. This is our weekly check-in every Monday. You good fam, virtual check-in. We like to see how people are doing. Please let us know how you're feeling on a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being not so great, 10 being amazing. This is a space that's for us, ways that we can just connect, empower, and support each other, whether we're locally, whether we're global, wherever we at, man. So big up to everyone coming through. Yes. Yeah, man. So that being said, I guess let's circulate, the energy, man. I see we got some more people's coming through. Shout out GW Counseling, who'll be adding on just now. Yes,
Hi.
yes. Big up. Welcome. Thank you for joining us, man, to our virtual check-in, you good fam. So, since we're all here, man, why don't we just, do some introductions. Let us know how you're feeling on a scale from 1 to 10. 1 being not so great, 10 being amazing. This is our time where we can just, be authentically ourselves and just, keep the energy going on. So, that being said, I guess with our guest, man, Cropberry, why don't you come through, let us know how you're feeling.
Hey, yeah. So Cropberry, but also Hillary. I still find it weird when people call me Cropberry, but it's happening more and more, which is funny. I'm feeling really good. I would say I'm at an 8 or a 9. I have the pro of working from home, and my boss is away. She's going to a wedding in Cote d'Ivoire. So I'm running a whole department, which means I slept until 9. So living the life of luxury today, but a bit of anxiety because I am trying to go home to New Brunswick. And I don't think any of you know this, but my mother has dementia and is in a nursing home, which means if anything changes with their lockdown policies, I cannot go see my mother. And so I am literally just watching the news and their policies hourly because I had already moved the flights once. So very authentically, that is where I'm at. I literally was just emailing them do you know when you're gonna open, because they've been in a good place for a while, but we'll see because the flight's in about 3 weeks. So
well, we appreciate you sharing that, and sending peace, love, and light to your moms. I can only imagine the emotional turmoil that comes with that, especially just being at a distance, and trying to navigate all these different restrictions and whatnot. So hopefully things, work well and you're able to be there for her, because I know that's extremely important. And yeah, man, it's like we're going through some challenging times, and this is why we create these spaces where we can just kind of connect and just know that you're not alone in this. We all support each other. So thank you for sharing that. Yeah, man. So that being said, man, yes, we got the sister coming through, man. Sorry, I forgot your name. If you can just introduce yourself for us, let us know how you're feeling on a scale from 1 to 10. And yeah, man, we'll keep the energy going.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Gail. I am owner-operator of Gail Wilson Counseling Services. Sorry, this is my second time doing live, so I have no clue how to jump into these things. So thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Appreciate that, man. So like, how are you feeling on a scale from 1 to 10? Is there anything you'd like to share, man? Maybe something exciting that's been going on, or
Um, right now, I would say that I'm at 8. I'm doing okay. I've been busy with managing my family, so I've taken a break from my business in a sense. I'm hoping to be back up and running in May, just to kind of manage my sons and my family. So that's been keeping me on my toes, just managing my children and trying to take care of myself before I get back into the business of helping others.
love that. Hey, man,
Yeah.
like honestly, that's such a really powerful thing, and I feel that's going to connect with today's topic as well, man. Because so much of us are like giving back to community and doing so much things, but we also got to remember ourselves, because it's difficult to like kind of give from like an empty well. And as we're so giving, like we want to, we'll give our last dollar, our last bit of energy, and kind of like forget ourselves. So I always stress like self-care, mental health, do what we can to like keep our energies up. And not to feel guilty for like putting ourselves first, because sometimes I know for me, I can't speak for everybody, but sometimes I feel like I'm selfish for taking time out for myself and feeling a certain ways. But I've learned to just kind of put those negative self-talks like away to the side and just be like, you know what, like I know that once I'm good, then I can better serve my community, so that's what's up. Absolutely, man. Yo, brother Symbolic, what's going on?
Hey, greetings, and welcome and thanks for being here with us. I do want to give a quick shout out to those who are in the comments. Lady Vividly, big ups. Freedom and Flow, I think that's John X. That's my brethren from out in Nigeria. I saw Color a moment ago. Color as in Color Barbershop, Color Brown. Yeah, we got Ghana. Well, come again?
Thorns, yeah.
Word. Okay, yeah. So, I love what you were just mentioning about self-care, and it just is it's so important, right? And so that's my moment to give a shout out to the event that you did yesterday, which brought Black people out to Nathan Phillips Square. I was so wanting to be able to get you down there, but instead I slid down hills with my son.
Love.
And thought of Black people in the snow and having a good time. So yeah, so as I reflect as we have this conversation, I was like starting out low energy with my smoothie, trying to but I'm gonna go to 8. I was somewhere like at a 7 before, and just being here with our people, I'm gonna go 8. I'm feeling pretty good.
Okay. That's peace, man. And like, so our friends, like, in the chat, man, if you want to let us know how you're feeling, scale from 1 to 10, 1 being not so great, 10 being amazing. We like to keep it super interactive and inclusive. So just because you're not on camera doesn't mean you can't be part of the conversation. So please, we love to see activity in the comments. Really appreciate that. Me, like I'm feeling at a 10. I'm still riding off of the waves from yesterday. We had like our first annual reggae skate celebrations of Bob Marley Day here in Toronto. The people them came out. The sun was shining. The weather was beautiful. I couldn't ask for anything like more. It was wonderful. And shout out to my brother France Thomas, who's with the city and was able to kind of just clear the path. You know what I mean? So no one bother us. So we can do our thing. What we need to do. And the seed is planted. People are already in my ear being given ideas of what we can do next year to make it bigger and better and more collaboration. So I'm definitely going to be reaching out to the community, man, to make this like a community thing. I don't want it just be an SFA thing. This is like for us, so we can come through, take up space. And I think it's beautiful that it all happens in February, like they say that we don't like the cold, but we're going to be coming in from the cold and bringing the heat, man, bring that Caribbean heat, like I want to see the brother who does like corn soup, you know what I mean? Come out with the big like barrel, you know what I'm saying? Giving all that. So, hey man, we're trying to bring like Afro Fest into like Winter Fest. So that's what's up. That's the kind of vibe that we're bringing. So big up to everyone that's pulling through. Yeah. So that being said, I'm just feeling great. This week we're starting our community initiatives in the schools with our virtual tour, inspiring like Black youth. And what I like about the tour that we're doing, it's all virtual, and we're going to be expanding it beyond February. So February, we call it African Liberation Month or Black History Month. But then March is Black Futures Month, you know what I mean? Which I like, it just kind of continues. And then, as you know, people like us, man, we do this 365, but, sometimes we got to what's the word I use? We got to capitalize with integrity. You know, use these moments where people are focused, you know, to add on, but just it's extended to keep like that energy flowing, you know. So I'm excited for all that. Big up to everyone who's participating. And yeah, man. So we'll just, you know, get in today's topic, special Black History Month edition. You know, we have Hillary, who's also part of the Black Atlantic, you know, and we're just having some general conversations about, you know, just like the Black experience out in the East Coast. You know, like I hear often about, you know, Nova Scotia, you know, in Toronto, we know well about like Scotians and Africville and whatnot. Anybody who knows me knows I talk about this often, but we don't really hear much about like New Brunswick and like Newfoundland and even like PEI, you know, like maybe I feel like I'm ignorant and whatnot, but I think it would be kind of cool just to kind of like start, you know, from there in that context of just like the experiences like, you know, out there. Cause I know what it is in Toronto and we'll probably get into that in a bit, but I'm curious to know like, what's it like, you know, out there, like resources, community wise, you know, representation, celebrations, like what, yeah, please let us know.
I'll start out by shouting out the people who are doing the work, and then I will go downhill from there. But there is the PEI Black Culture Society. They're doing events all month long. A lot of Instagram lives, takeovers, mindfulness, yoga. Some Caribbean queens who are part of that team there, who are doing like a lot of wonderful work. They've been partnered with us on a couple of things, and we're actually, our next guest in 2 weeks on Black Atlantic is going to be Bianca, who is a part of the PEI Black Culture Society. Nice. New Brunswick has the New Brunswick Arts Alliance that has a lot of Black people involved, and the New Brunswick African Association, and they're also doing great work. And Battle of the Arts New Brunswick is run by Sa Andrews, who's from Sierra Leone. So I would say those are some great resources within New Brunswick. That being said, the vibe ain't really there. Like growing up, I was one of 5 Black kids in my whole high school and elementary and middle, and it was very isolating, very lonely. There was at the time this very weird sentiment that all Black people coming into New Brunswick were immigrants for the French university, and being English first language, I was too intimidated to introduce myself. And being light skinned, I thought I had like nothing to offer, no reason to be their friend, that they were a group and I was alone. And so I was alone for like 18 years. And then by the time I went to that university, I was too ashamed of my French speaking capabilities to introduce myself, which is BS because I'm fully bilingual. I don't know why I was ashamed at the time. New Brunswick's moved, I would say, they've done a lot and they've shifted and there is more diversity. But I would say there are still undertones of racism, of these people aren't New Brunswickers. They don't really fit in. We've only just started, we historically just elected the first Black mayor in all of New Brunswick this past year. In Shippagan, his name is Kasim Doumbia. And yet I spoke quite loudly about this recently. An organization in New Brunswick had a Black History Month panel and they included 4 white politicians and not this historically elected Black mayor. So it's 2022 and we're still in like the 60s. Like, I don't understand. So I went off about that, but we, I think, aspire to be like Nova Scotia. I'm working with the school districts in terms of Black history and we're looking at their curriculums and what Nova Scotia's done. But New Brunswick, I would say, is, I use the word often, archaic. We're still way back.
Wow. Okay. No, that's deep. And thank you for sharing those insights. Before we get into the comments, like I'm just curious to know, like, with all that being said, in the context of like just mental health and, you know, finding like safe spaces to just be and to connect, like, and I know that you mentioned about just, you know, being, you know, isolated for many years. Like I had a similar experience here in Toronto. Like I was part of the French immersion program when I was from kindergarten to like grade 5. So it wasn't as long as you, but I overstand the experiences and very similar of just being isolated and seen as like the other and nowhere to really fit in. I'm just curious to know, again, like safe spaces, like resources, like how do you handle like mental health in that capacity?
I'll be honest that at the time I did not handle it well. There was a lot of other factors going on. My mom, older, gave birth to me, went into labor on her 43rd birthday. My dad wasn't around. Oh, there were a lot of things going on in the background that made it so that, teachers would send me to girl self-esteem days that were being held at hotel conferences. And I didn't at the time understand that was them trying to uplift me. I just thought I was doing good at my homework and got a day off from school. They tried to create safe spaces for me, but again, the faculties and staff until I got to university were also completely white. In my elementary, middle, my 8th grade teacher actually was my godmother. And while that meant I was safe from overt racism, there was always microaggressions and undertones, and also being treated like, oh, you're being favored because your family works here, on top of you being one of the only Black kids, et cetera, et cetera. To be honest, the moment things started to go sideways in my life, my mental health completely declined, and I dove quite deeply into addiction for 4 years, to the point where I'm finishing a rehabilitative mental health thing. This week is my last week of doing 2 hours of therapy every week about why that happened. And coming to the very end of it, the realization is my otherness and Blackness contributed to being willing to people please and become an alcoholic to fit in. And that's nothing I ever wanted for myself. No one wants to be addicted to anything in any way, but it's been very eye-opening to see that my otherness and ostracization within the context of New Brunswick contributed to addiction later on. I know there are better resources now, but I missed out on all of that, and I found resources here in Toronto, which have been very helpful. And I just try to impart everything that I've learned to the people I know that are struggling in the same way through the podcast, through other things, because I think we should all be able to access these things, whether it's mental health supports or places to speak with Black people, so that you have a sense of community. That's what I think New Brunswick was missing then, and what I hope to give them now. Wow.
No, that's beautiful. You're doing incredible works. And it's so interesting how the stuff that we go through, kind of empowers and gives us purpose, So one thing I always like to say is that our experiences, aren't it's not our identity, but just part of our journey. You know what I mean? So I think your experience that made you very intentional. Now, I know that you're in Toronto now, but you're very intentional about going back and bringing out support. So that's incredible. Symbolic, man, why don't you go into the chats, and then we'll get into the sister here who can speak about her counseling and things that she's doing to support the community.
Absolutely. So we have King Spade giving the peace sign and the love to the family. Let's see. Lady Vividly says self-care awareness, definitely a must. Seeing some nines, a 9 being thrown up for how we doing. King Spade is 100. Big ups, Chloe, the Dev family in the place, Limukani out in South Africa. Big ups and love. We have New Mex giving a check-in with an 8. Good. Bear with me as I scroll down. King Spade, we used to own Nova Scotia back in the 1900s. We ran North Preston for years and owned it outright until younger generation was not taught how to keep the land.
Interesting. Interesting.
And we're caught up for the time being.
Okay, man. Yes, sis. Take it away. Why don't you let us know about your, I guess, your company, GW Counseling, and let's just start there.
All right, thank you. So thank you so much, sister, for sharing your story and the things that you're doing. That's amazing that you're making such an impact on, going back and reaching back. So in saying that, I'm a part of a project called the Sankofa Consultancy Group. And that's kind of where our sole focus is looking at how we can go back, how we can sort of pivot to kind of support the community with our experience and doing that work, because a lot of the younger generation get left out, get lost with the history, the knowledge, and most importantly, the knowledge of self. right? So a little bit about myself and my company. I just call Gail Wilson Counseling Services. As I said, I am a part of a group of other consultants that are also clinicians and mental health clinicians. Our group is called the Sankofa Consultancy Project. And what we're aiming to do is to primarily look at how anti-Black racism is impacting the community, the younger generation, and finding pockets in the community here in Toronto to be supportive. So we've sort of anchored ourselves with some of the youth justice work that we were doing previously, to do work with young people in pocketed neighborhoods. So for instance, right now we're doing some work with Culture Link in the West Mall area, just to kind of get started, right? So previous to that, I did work with the African Canadian Legal Clinic, and we did a lot of work around anti-Black racism, same group of people. And that's what pivoted me to do a lot of the anti-Black racism work that I'm doing today. So now specifically speaking about my mental health practice, Gail Wilson Counseling Services, I've worked with multiple different communities, but primarily people that look like myself have been coming to my practice because they're looking for someone who looks like me, someone who can understand their story, someone who could really hear them without having to go through this backdrop of explaining themselves, and really get into the nitty-gritty of the experiences that they're experiencing in life and how to heal, how to embark on the healing journey. So I've been doing that for 2 years now, just my private practice, but I've been doing this work all of my life. That's the reason why I got into this, because when I migrated here from Jamaica, I experienced a lot of othering, a lot of systemic issues that if I didn't have people who advocated for me, I wouldn't be where I am. So I decided that I needed to be a part of that. I need to be able to be Sankofa. I need to live it. But at that point, I didn't even know that's what I was doing. And when I finally found out that that's what it was called, that's what I was doing, I just embraced my calling, and I'll continue to do it till the day I die. I have 4 sons, so it's a part of my job to kind of anchor myself in that position, and to also place them in a position where they can be healthy in a world that doesn't often see them in the best light. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yo, that's beautiful. Salute to you and all the work that you're doing. As you're speaking, I'm just feeling the vibration, man. Like the vibration is up. Like, you know, I know they're doing some real powerful work, and, you know, any way that we can support and connect and even just like refer people, because I'm always looking for different resources and stuff. So we'll definitely be in contact. I appreciate that. Definitely. I got to shout out Lady Vividly, man, for making the connection, man. She reached out, and I was like, of course, man, bring sis, come through. Let's build, man. It's reason, and that's what this is all about. I want to shout out brother Kofi, man, out in Ghana, man. Make sure you go follow him, man. He has like an incredible 3D mask exhibit, doing amazing stuff in the whole NFT world and doing big things for Ghana, man. Shout out to the people them. But yo, I want to go back to Hillary real quick. You know, so just you being in Toronto, you know, coming from New Brunswick, being in Toronto, what are some of those experiences and just observations? Because I always like to get like the perspective of those who just plopped in and just kind of looking from fresh eyes. I've lived here my whole life, so I'm a Torontonian, born and raised. It is what it is. But I'm always curious to know, like, just your experiences just coming in and just being immersed in the culture, and what are some of your observations, especially in the context of like the Black community, or even what Black means here in contrast to like the Maritimes.
I talked about this, I forget where, but literally this week, that it took moving to Toronto for another Black person to give me the nod, to acknowledge my existence just in like a Shoppers Drug Mart. In New Brunswick, you're never going to have that. You're never going to run into another Black person. I was the only Black Shoppers employee for the entire province, and I'd worked with that company for 12 years. It took coming here to see other people that acknowledged, like, you're Black, and like, hey, I've got you, or I see you. I had never been seen as a Black person until I got here. And in that way that I personally don't like it when people say like, we don't see color. I want you to see color, and I want you to acknowledge that I am living a different life and that I deserve the same rights as everyone else. To have other Black people see me for the first time, that was insane. It was validating. And that's why I've never, like, I left Toronto for a year and a half with the pandemic, instantly moved back. Like, this place has my heart. I absolutely love it here. It is a different vibe. It is a different energy. And I would say that that sense of community I missed and did not have is what I absolutely found here. On top of just solid mental health resources and people wanting to do better and live better. And it's hard to describe if you haven't lived in New Brunswick, but it is the poorest province with like a minimum wage of only just $12 now, I think. And you can feel it. Like, the nightlife is all of these dive bars, and there is a very weird acceptance of like drug use, and it's very, very sad. And you feel it when you're there. And everyone talks about the lack of opportunity for young people, let alone young people, diverse people, queer people. If you are any minority or any intersectionality, you are going to have a much harder time unless you are part of the Acadian minority, which has the white card and has worked very hard to get to their seat at the table. You're anything else, you're SOL. You're going to be struggling. Coming to Toronto was it was an enriching experience, and that's why I've fallen in love with this place. I have no intentions of leaving.
Okay. Wow, that's beautiful. You know, I love to hear those because sometimes us as Torontonians, we take it for granted. You know, like, it's common for me to like go downtown and see, like, you know, Jamaican restaurants and my people, and like, you know, when I'm walking down the street with my kids, like, I'm always going to come across someone I know, and that's regular for me. So just to hear that, like, you know, it's humbling. It just makes me want to appreciate, you know, my experiences a little more, because I feel sometimes I even take it for granted, kind of spoiled out here. You know, it's because out here it's like, well, what kind of Black do you want to connect with? I mean, there's Jamaican, there's Trinidadian, there's, you know, like Nigeria, Ghana, like so many variations. But yes, go ahead, Symbolic.
Oh, just wanted to mention something that came to mind when you said that you weren't seen, and that colorism thing. To bring in the continent, I remember going to Durban in South Africa, and an elder says to me, "You know, you're not Black here, right?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And this elder who had been involved with the ANC and so forth, he said, go ask the hotel person, go ask what you are. And they say, you're colored, right? And so I just think it's an interesting thing to think about, like, the importance of us defining ourselves and embracing who we are, and not being divided by, although it's painful, especially, you know, I was a grown person, so it's not like it affects me, but like, imagine living in that, where you're put into a box and you're divided. And then I also wanted to just touch on what you were mentioning about being French, like being Black people, and once we get into different groups, it could be sports, it could be hockey, it could be like myself, I also studied French, right? Alors, on peut parler un petit peu de français, mais the point is, right? The point is, like, it's like then we get separated, but I think this is the greatest opportunity to come, just to solidify, squad up, and be one, no matter where we are around the planet. So that's my little that came to mind.
Agreed. Don't buy into the categorizations, but it's a powerful thing for you to be able to kind of come to that place and realize that that's what was taken away from you, and grasping that power to say, I identify how I want to be in the world, and naming that for yourself. That's the foundation to a healthy self, and therefore building up to that self-actualization, you know? So we have to spread that word in the community, definitely.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it is. I don't know if there's any comments that we missed in the chat, Symbolic, if you want to hold that down.
Absolutely. Just trying to see how far we go back. Oh, I see Vividly saying, spitting some fire. So yeah, Ruckus, we have DJ Ruckus, big up to you. He says, big up to everyone, Black History Liberation Month. Indeed. Always big ups to T. Fanny. I don't know to what part of the conversation this was, but Cope Counseling says yes. So I'll just and
yes.
Yeah,
that's my colleague Micah. She's a part of the Sankofa consultancy too.
Okay.
So please follow her.
Big up Sankofa Consultancy.
I love that so
Group.
much. It's so good.
Yeah.
Oh,
AI design with the hands in the air, lay vividly. It's about building our community positively. Absolutely. For so long, not only have we been being defined, we've been being defined poorly. We've been separated from nature. Oh, you're urban people, you know. So it's absolutely true. We have JS Sims, J Sims. That's important. It goes a long way. I am T Fanny says, I definitely felt that way too coming into Toronto, Queen. Okay. Speaking of people coming to Toronto, I'm sure coming to Toronto from elsewhere and catching the vibe. I noticed another thing when where there's not a lot of black people, we definitely holler. And then sometimes when there's more of us, we start to be like, oh, no big deal. I've made a conscious decision to just, when I see black people, I nod. Let them know you're safe. We're here. Like, you know, I just try to nod every time, you know, since 2020, basically. Like, no, there's no excuse. Anyways, I'm sorry, I went on that tangent. We got King Spade saying black people lost their rights back in 1906 and are classified as ipso jure. I don't know if I'm butchering that. I think Latin or, you know, legalese. You can get it all back by learning about diversity of nationality and pedigree. We're already rich and don't know it. Word up, we got Sam. I'm sorry, you were gonna comment on that?
No, I was gonna say it's a rude thing. It's really just, we're already rich. I like that statement because it's true. You know, the subcategories and things like that made us believe and disconnect from our roots. The DNA, the melanin, the richness that makes us us, that was taken away from us. And we often think of ourselves in these categories of color or in these categories of richness in terms of money. But richness is about our heritage, right? It's about being able to reach back into our roots and realize how much knowledge and wisdom comes from our people. And that's within our DNA, right?
Thank you.
And when you say that, it makes me think about how great it is that we're summoning on Sankofa, because that's what it is. We are a big part of our fall from grace, to use that term, is we were robbed of our history, of knowing who we are. And when we've done, I've been telling so many people logic about the Black Hockey League that was predating the NHL. Like, we knew these things. And I'm not even the biggest hockey person. I like fun, but, you know, I'm like, yo, as Canadians, we're taught this is the sport, and we barely have anything to do with it. But truly, we are everywhere. We've been everywhere. So, yo, I'm gonna just finish up with this. Fam TV says, "Watagwan family, grand rising to the empresses." Yes. Yo, Dark Myths is in the house. I don't even remember what city in the U.S., but he's definitely repping Ghana by way of the USA. Big ups to you. He's a very talented NFT artist in the house. Fam TV says big up to the Mandem. Fam TV said bonjour. Cost Couture out in Ghana. Enough respects to the sister. Says, please, I'll come for tutoring on French. Yeah, you come to Canada if you want to learn French. I mean, you know, you could arguably talk about going to France or some other, or even better, you could go to your neighbor country. Damn, what am I thinking? You got like Cote d'Ivoire right beside you. But anyways, come to Canada anyways, because we want to like connect our virtual family. Word up, going down the line, King Spade says, French language was invented by us. It is one of our African dialects. Okay. Well, bonjour. Okay. FTV says right? Self-actualization in big capitals. big phrase. Yo, for real. It is. Let's think about that. Self-actualization. It is a big phrase.
Indeed, indeed.
Okay. So LeBon is out of, oh my God, Uganda in the house, sending good vibes. Yo, enough love, LeBon, Uganda. AI design focus on similarities rather than on our differences is crucial. Ultimately, separation of ideas ideas of separation are illusion, yeah, and obscure our true nature. Like we're in a rebalancing time. The male energy was one that was not like, it's like women weren't there throughout the histories and the tellings of stories. Black people are histories, like all these things. It's a time of rebalancing. So 100% on the agree
Yes.
on that. King Mizzo's in the house. Big up King Mizzo. Fam TV facts. Yeah, salute indeed. So facts. I say, high weather, the queen. Don't know if I'm saying that. High weather, the queen thinks I'm trying to get, with her or not. I don't care no more. Black people, acknowledgement. Right. Okay, going back to saying hello to people. Yeah, sometimes people can be weird about just coming saying hello, but it's not on you though.
Yeah, that's so true. I could tell you a quick story. So as I earlier said, I'm from the island of Jamaica. I was born and raised there, and saying hello, saying good morning was just like a no-brainer. We saw our neighbors, we went to schools, just like, yes, it was a way of connecting, a way of communal living, right? And when I moved here, it was such a shocker to just have everyone just be ice cold, and if I did say good morning, it was almost as this strange event. And I almost got into it too. And I said to myself, no, I can't lose that sense of self where I have to continue that, to say good morning, to say hello, even if they don't say it back. Just I have to pass that on, because that sense of spiritual kindness that's within us as a people, we have to continue that legacy. It's just as simple as saying hello, hi, good morning, right? That lifts spirits. You can change someone's mind by just saying hello. They might have been having a crappy day or decided that they were going to do something bad to themselves or to someone else. And by saying hello, you can change how that person's going to interact and move throughout the day. Yeah. So we have to reach back to the small things. Those things matter.
Absolutely agree.
I have some comments to say, but I'm gonna let Symbolic get to the comments, and then I'm gonna circle back to some of these points because it's really interesting. But go ahead, brother.
Okay. So to finish, Fam TV says, especially say hi to Black men. It diffuses situations. Limukani says, greetings, family. Much love to you, my brother. Hello, family, says 75. Cope says, beautiful Black conversation. True, beautiful indeed. Cope says, the look of this live alone is a whole vibe. Word up.
Let's go.
X10 says peace, loving the balance in here. True. Absolutely. Sorry, one moment. My big finger slipped. So Cope, beautiful Black conversation. Okay, got that. I think, let's see, Fem TV, wow, excuse me, Fem TV says, wow, French is African dialect, so is Russian.
Interesting.
Is there anything that is originally European except debt and interest?
No, that's it.
So King Mizzo says, if you are living today, your DNA has been altered by the universe already. After February 5th, you will experience higher knowledge, and our people finally evolve in this great reset.
Hey. Well, hey man, I'm feeling something, man. I know that there's some energy going around, man. Like there is a shift. you know, and I'm here for it, and we're part of this movement, bringing people together, yo. So that's what's up. But yes, continue, man. Let's get through the comments. Keep it interactive. I love the engagement, man. Thank you, everybody, for your participation. But go on, keep it going.
Thank you. Okay, so Fam TV says spiritual kindness. That's number 2. Did I miss the number 1?
2.
Anyways, I'm just gonna push on. We got Limukani, black people greet freely. It's a part of who we are. Even if we are not friends, but we still greet. Absolutely. Yo, I remember I lived in Jamaica up in the hills, and yeah, that contrast between when you hit downtown Toronto, and it's like, as grown people, we should just be like, how do we want the world to be? And if someone's like disses you, it's like, that's not on me. I'm a grown person. I greet people and share love. And if you try to shut down and kill love, then it's not gonna affect my day. So yeah, I love that. I love that. Kosh from Ghana says, that's so true. It really matters. Saying hello can really go a long way. Fam TV says fire. Mizzo says they can never.
It's King Spade. It's King Spade.
Oh, King Spade. My bad. Says at Fam TV, they can never be the original Europeans. We are the original European. They are the Neanderthal caveman, and we invented 6,000 years ago. Damn. All right, and Montreal in the house. Experience Ramble. Shout outs. All right, we made it. You were gonna say Logic.
Man, there's so much. I mean, yo, King Spade, man, we're gonna have to have like a separate session for him to touch on some of these deep factors, because yeah, he's talking about like the genetic mutation and whatnot, but that's a whole other story. But just to go back to, so when we're talking about like self-actualization, and when we're like thinking about like wealth and all these things, and to really like perceive ourselves as that, like we're already there, not this thing that we're trying to like obtain in the future, so when people say like, oh, like be the light or be wealthy, it's like, no, like I am the light, I am wealthy, I am healthy, like those words have like so much like power and meaning. And it's like there's no separation. It's like you already are, like you already have everything that you need. We just have to like remember that, so that's the Sankofa part. Another thing too, with what the lack of representation, when we're talking about the colored hockey league, that was important for me. I say this all the time. Growing up in Toronto, I played all kinds of sports, played hockey, in the cul-de-sac and lift the goalie net and set car and all that kind of stuff. But it got to a point where I didn't continue because I wasn't white, and people said like, yo, why are you playing this? You're not white. And I would look as far as the eye can see, and I couldn't see any representation of that. But if we knew about the colored hockey league, that we had a hand in this like sport that's like the sport when it comes to Canadian identity, I'm sure like a lot of people like myself would have approached it a lot differently. We'd be like, yo, like we're part of this. And who knows, like the NHL probably would have looked a lot more diverse than what it is now, you know what I mean, if we knew this knowledge back then. Another point, because I just want to, in interest of time, keep this going, is when we're talking about, not saying hello to people on the street. So there's a flip side. So Toronto has like a few different faces. There is the one that's where it's like, we see each other and we do connect, and it's like brotherly and all that. But then there's like the side that's like skeptical, where it's like people may have like an agenda, and I feel like this is really, unique. Well, maybe not necessarily unique, but I think unique to the North American experience of being Black, in contrast to like, let's say the East Coast, like in Newfoundland, New Brunswick, or in Alberta, like, I got like quite a bit of a friendly vibe, and people will talk to you and whatnot. But sometimes, like, I feel like, in Toronto specifically, and other places that I've seen, this idea of come together, I feel like it comes back from just like historical experiences, like where we weren't allowed to come together. And if we were to show that, hey, we know each other, that could be a dangerous experience for all of us. You know what I mean? So that's like one half. And then the other half is just like this weird fear that comes with it. Now that I'm older, like I don't get this experience, but when I was younger, going from like hood to hood, because like I was someone who knew people in different areas in Toronto, and like, you know, if you're from like Regent Park going to Jane and Finch and then going to Chester Lee and going all these places, it's like who's there, like who do you know, and this weird like, you know, kind of like checking to make sure that, you know, like you're who you say you are and that you're not a potential threat. If you say hello to someone, it's like, is this guy going to rob me? Is he trying to like, you know, why is he looking at me? What's the agenda? Like, there's this weird like energy that comes with that, and it really does come from like this place of like trauma, you know, that I want to just like acknowledge, you know. So as we're saying all this, I'm like, yeah, like it does come from that, and I do remember the experiences of being in Jamaica. I come from a Jamaican household as well, so like, you know, greeting people and saying good morning, like that's like disrespect. You know what I mean? That's the last thing like you want to do is not say hello, because they'll be calling your parents and, you know, you might get dealt with. So so it's really about like, you know, that communal. But, you know, when from a North American perspective, for a lot of us, it's like coming together is problematic. You know what I mean? Like police see like a group of youth hanging out, that's a problem. You know what I mean? Like, so so that being said, you know, I feel like we all do want this, you know, collective, you know, connection, this collective like healing and opportunities to really build community. We have that within us, but there's so much forces that strive intentionally to divide us and keep us against each other, you know, like where we look at someone who looks exactly like me as the enemy, you know, like there's some like trauma, generational trauma, all kinds of things that we need healing from. So my question to you, sister, I want to say, like, what are some ways that we can like heal from all this? Like, what are some things that we got to like, you know, consider, some like practical and tangible like things that we can like, you know, take away and do today to support that?
In terms of looking at trauma, is first recognizing and doing some self-assessments with ourselves, like really sitting in what we call in Jamaica reasoning. You need to hold a reason with yourself and ask yourself, what are the things that I experience? You know, what are the things that I'm seeing in my community that's causing the detriment of my community? And what is causing the detriment of myself? Right? And really start making the moves that most people are doing now. Right? Like what you're saying, there is an awakening happening more and more now as the pandemic has happened, because it has allowed us to kind of go deeper into not necessarily isolation, but solitude, which we need. Right? Solitude is not necessarily a bad thing. It allows you to reflect on who you are, where you want to go, make goals, make plans. Right? And start changing sort of the terminology, just changing the narrative by saying, you know, a lot of times we used to go to this idea of thinking that mental health had to do with, well, I'm crazy. No, it doesn't. It has to do with the same thing as your physical health. You would go to the doctor if your leg was or your finger was broken. You need to also assess what's going on with your mind, and what's the wellness of your mind, and address that. Ways you could look at that is engaging in community, engaging in dialogue around what you're experiencing, because oftentimes what we're experiencing individually, others have experienced as well, and we have this medicine that we could share with each other through talking. That's something that's within our community as well, is that talk therapy that people are capitalizing on through psychotherapy. But we can do that as a community by sharing our stories, sharing our narratives. That's one. And the first one I mentioned was solitude. I feel like that's the beginning stage where you can work on yourself by acknowledging, because you first need to tell yourself, this is my truth. This is valid for me. I'm holding that. But then what do I do with it? That's the second piece, is community. If you feel safe in your community. The third is reaching out to professionals like myself. There's so many of us that are available to support you, that are trauma informed, that are now waking up to say, this is our time to kind of make a play to support our community, to be accessible. But also we have to remember, not all kinfolk, you know, is skin folk, right? So you have to be able to make an assessment of the person that you're speaking to and ask them particular questions about themselves, and, you know, what are their values and how do they practice, so that you get an understanding that you're engaging with someone who is aligned with the things that you're looking for, to making sure that you're not further traumatizing yourself. Right? So those are the things that I think are very necessary, is first finding your truth, validating your truth with yourself, engaging with community through narrative talk, similar conversations like we're having right now, finding a mental health practitioner that can be supportive to you, and reaching out, really finding spaces. There's lots of things going on in the city that's available to folks like ourselves that are doing amazing work, that are available. You just have to be able to ask yourself from that position of solitude, that place of validation, that place of talking with yourself, who do I need to talk to? Where do I find them? And seek them out. Don't be afraid. It takes that one step. Once you take that step, it's over from there. It's just the journey after.
Mm-hmm. No, that's beautiful. I love clear and concise messaging that we can like take with us, so like having those steps and focus, finding out, more about ourselves, connecting with community, then reaching out to resources. I love what you're talking about, just like the the narrative, like having the conversations, and through storytelling. That's literally like the purpose and intentions of us having this check-in. You good, fam? Our people, like, we love to reason. This is how we heal. This is why we go to the barber shop, or like the hair salon, or wherever you go, to just unload and try to figure out what's going on. So I appreciate that. I don't know if there's extra comments in the chat. I wasn't really paying attention. I was really zoned in the conversation here. So I know Symbolic, you want to tap into that, man. Loving the feedback, man. We've been super interactive today, man. Love it. Respect to everybody.
Absolutely. Yeah. We got what? Madrid, Portugal in the house. Bone Police, big up to you.
Hey,
Dalton, he's the documenter in the house. Respect. Always good to have you. T Fanny says people are people so racist here. LOL. Like masked racism. It sucks. So I think what you're talking about, Canada, probably, because that's what I noticed.
In general, yeah.
How can he? We got Fam TV saying cloth talk. And then King Spade says, to heal yourself, you have to go back to the Zodiac Constitution. This Constitution governed our spirituality, our soul, and our sun sign. And
that definitely helps. That definitely, like, Zodiac, like, helps bring. I feel like it's a combination of like all the things that we're talking about. But I know for me, like, understanding like my Zodiac sign, like my moon sign, rising sign, all this, and then all the intricacies in between, like, help me understand like my like templates and whatnot. But anyways, yes, go on.
Word. So T Fanny, one of our favorite rappers, out in Alberta. Oh, she's responding saying in Alberta specifically what she's referring.
Yeah.
Dalton Higgins says Black communities in Canada are quite scattered geographically. Based on a number of variables tied to economics, it feels harder to reason in real life today. Online is the future, but in person is great. Yeah, I would say, we have this opportunity to connect with people very meaningfully. Unlike, the old notion about online, it's not real friendship. It's not real. It is real, but then I think that it's all about then creating those circumstances where we can connect in the real world. Because now when we meet, Hillary or Gail, when we meet, let's say at the Stolen from Africa conference, it'll be like, yo, we already like have built
connection. Mm-hmm.
Right? Like how you said about when you meet a counselor, you talk with them and you figure it out. Once you know that they're like they understand Sankofa, they understand what we've been going through, then you're like, okay, so we can make those connections online, but I do think all doors lead to in real life connections.
Just to add on to that, like that's a perfect example of like what we did yesterday at the Bob Marley Reggae Skate. A lot of those initial connections were like online and whatnot, and even some friends I haven't seen in like 2 years. So when they came out in person, and that's the exact conversation I was having. I was like, it's great to connect online because we are intentional. We're not just doing this just because. Like, we have an agenda, we have a purpose. But then when we meet in person, it's even more intentional. Like when I was like hugging people a little longer than usual. You know what I mean? Giving daps a little longer and just being like, yo, it's good to see you, and just appreciating this moment and just acknowledging the fact that we're here in this physical space together, knowing that, hey, like this is things have changed, but we're here together in this moment in time, and we're celebrating, with intention. So now when we meet, it's not going to be just because. It's like we're really going to like connect intentionally and appreciate those moments. So I just wanted to add that. So yes, like virtual is the future, and I'm here for it. I'm here for it, man. Straight up, let's go.
And just to add to that, even just to say, like, what you guys are saying now in terms of, we communicated that, and then here it is, we met in person, we were hugging, right? And you were saying, Stolen from Africa, we're going to have a conference. That's the power we have, is the word. Is the ability to make our word reality. So we have to be really careful as people to realize that we have that power to say something and bam, it comes through. And I don't know if anybody's ever had that moment where you're like, this is deja vu because I just said that. And all of a sudden it just happened. It's because we have that power to make word real. So living in our word, living in our positivity, that can be us creating life. We are creation because we create through the word.
Ooh, man,
as you say that
right now, yo, I'm
right?
charged up.
I'm going to jump into the comment where DJ says, those Mandelas, big smiles. I'm pretty sure you're talking about the background there. Sam TV also said, cloth talk is when the queen was speaking on point, like you anointed a woman of the cloth. Word.
Hey, man,
getting enough love. Accidental Bohemian says, gotta go, keep kicking, we will. Boards. Social media is a broad platform that could be used for so many good things.
Just like this is what we're doing it. Yeah.
Lady Vividly says, living our truths. Absolutely. And Fam TV goes on to say, see more cloth talk.
Hashtag cloth talk, yeah.
Yeah. So King Spade says we should have a town hall meeting. It's very important to have this meeting in person or online. We are things that we have to share that are very important. Maybe we have things that we have to share for our people, especially in this time. Dalton Higgins says, I need to go to Nova Scotia. Never been. So need that overground railroad tour for real. We need to see that. What is that? Bliggity? Bliggity Black.
Bliggity Black. Yo, Dalton, like when Dalton goes, I have to be there with him. Like I want to experience his like reactions and just connecting. Like, yo, it's a trip, man. Like, oh man, we'll talk about that later. We'll talk about that later, man. But yo, big up to everyone who passed through. We got one more comment coming through. I see Boris Taban saying, I've been watching maybe 5 minutes of this live, and I can see what kind of impact you guys have on the people, and I love it. Keep it up, you guys. This is what the world needs. Maximum respect. Fam TV, man. SFA Scotia trip. Hey, man. Hey, we're speaking the word, man. Like, this is what I'm talking about, of how like fast things are moving. Like, we speaking into existence, and it's already in motion. The seeds have already been planted in the ether, and we're going to manifest that. So that's what it is. Big up to everyone who's been coming through. Like, and I'm glad, like, the energy has been shining through, because this is our intention. Just to kind of like close as to wrap up, maybe the sisters can go around and just share once again their organization that they're with. Man, I want to hear about the counseling and Black Atlantic. Let people know what's going on so they can follow and all that good stuff. And yeah. So anyone can go first, but sure, go ahead, Hillary. Yeah.
I can go. So yeah, at Black Atlantic for the podcast that I do, I will also shout out. My day job is actually working in community health centers, and I have a podcast there called Community Matters, and we have several featuring Toronto Black community health centers that are doing good work, vaccination uptake for hesitant Black people who don't trust doctors, because I wouldn't either, really trying to get education out there just to support Black communities in Toronto. So I also do that on the side. And my personal stuff is all labeled Cropberry. It is now a legal business. I did that a couple weeks ago and made it real. So you need to find me, Cropberry, on everything. But Black Atlantic is where it's at. And I do want to add one last thought, that Canadian racism is erasure. And everything we've been talking about is how they've tried to erase us, versus America, where it was blatant the N-word and we hate you. Here it's trying to sweep us under the rug. And as long as we keep talking like this, they can't do that.
Exactly.
Yo, oh my
Right,
goodness.
right.
Thank you.
And again, I'm Gail of Gail Wilson Counseling. You can follow me at GW_counseling on IG. And you can also find my website, www.gailwilsoncounseling.com. All right.
Amazing, man. And that concludes, man, for today's session of You Good Fam virtual check-in, man, for our peoples. And oh man, I feel checked in. I feel like I've been counseled. I feel like I'm ready to take on like this beast and kind of racism that's coming. I'm ready to like be like Neo in the Matrix right now, man, just dodging everything, man. So hey, well, we're going to keep speaking our truths, man. They're not going to erase it, man. We're going to make sure we're loud, say it loud, we're black and we're proud, and we're going to keep it moving, keep it going, and keep on shining, man. So thank you all for your contributions. Thank you for spreading your light. Let's remember self-care and take out time for ourselves while we're out there saving the world. And yo, man, we're going to be here next week, man. Every Monday, 11 a.m. You Good Fam, Stoner from Africa. Big up, big up, big up. And we out.
Bye.
Until next time, yo. Peace.
Bye.